I've been doing this long enough to know that not having a system and a process in place or a formula for the way you create content is going to lead to one of the biggest shit shows that you will ever experience. Welcome back to the YouTube channel, everybody. Thank you for clicking on the video. I'm very excited about this video because of how important this topic really is, and it's still not being talked about nearly enough. And it has to do with the video that I made last week. First of all, thank you so much for the love and the positivity in last week's video. You guys blew me away by the comments and just everything that you had to say. You had very, very kind, nice things to say. If you haven't seen that video, I'll link it up here. I'll pop something up. Go click on it, check it out. But one of the biggest points that I made in that video was that we're so focused on the formula of our content, the way it looks, the storyline, our intro, our outro, how great the B-roll is, et cetera, and yet we forget about the formula for how we're going to end up creating it. And it's just as important, if not more important, than the content itself, because that is what's going to allow us to be consistent. That's what's going to allow us to create better work. And when you start posting week after week and just one piece of content at a time, it's really, really easy for you to get behind. And this is when reaction mode starts to creep in, where you feel like, oh my God, I have to get a post out right now. I said I was going to post a YouTube video once a week and it's not happening. It's been 6 days. I've got one more day to create a video. How am I going to do this? And that's when overwhelm starts to creep in, reaction mode happens, and you just blow up and you get super frustrated, right? Let me paint you a picture, because I know at least half of you have experienced this. You wake up, you tell yourself, I'm going to film the most badass video I've ever filmed. You get outside, you start filming just some cool trees, them blowing in the wind, and you find some cool plants and you're filming some epic B-roll and you're like, oh my God, this is cinematic as fuck. And then you film a couple more clips and then you upload it to your computer and you watch it back and you're like, oh my God, this is the dumbest shit ever. We have all been there. Even if you have an outline, I'm doing multiple takes now. It's part of the job. Creating content, this is part of it, right? But how can you eliminate as many of those takes as possible? How can you go out and shoot and know and feel confident that you are getting stuff with intention and purpose? And that is what we are going to be talking about in this video today. So let's get into the meat and potatoes here. So this is Notion. This is a somewhat recently discovered app. And I'm not going to persuade you on what app or software you should use, because it's really easy to get caught up in those details. And then you spend an entire day, 8-10 hours looking at apps all day long. I've been there. Don't do that. Pick one, go with it, use it for a few weeks. If you don't like it, okay, then you can move on. But I absolutely love this app because it does everything that I need it to do for my life, for my business, and for my content. I'm also not going to show you how to use Notion because there's a million other YouTube videos out there that you can watch. There's a great video by Thomas Frank, and I actually got a lot of inspo from his video and the way he uses this. I kind of tweaked it a little bit to make it my own, but I got a lot from him. So I'm going to link that video in the description as well. But what I want to show you is how I use it to be more efficient and get that freedom back in my day, because that's what's most important here. So here it is. This is my social content workspace. As you can see in the left-hand column here, these are all of my workspaces. I've got my weekly log, I've got team agenda, which is my team, and I've got the creator's blueprint, which is my coaching and mentorship program for creatives. So this is everything related to this business here. And then we have the social content. This is how I do it with YouTube and just content in general. I like to have dedicated time where I am brainstorming content ideas, and I can start batching these ideas in one location. So as you can see here, these are just simply ideas for YouTube videos. Same with the podcast here. And the more ideas I get, the more you'll see right here. And I just start collecting them in this area. So that's what this column is for. Then to the right, when I put these videos into the not started column, this means that this video is going to get made no matter what. Like, we're doing this video, I love the idea. Some of these ideas will get trashed. Maybe it's like, yeah, okay, that was kind of stupid, don't really like that so much. But if I know an idea is definitely going to get created into a video, it's going into the not started column, which then leads us to the planning and writing column, where I take the time to plan and write. And then shooting, done shooting, ready to edit. And then this is where my editor takes over. Then he'll take it to editing. Once I'm done shooting, he'll see that, okay, it's ready to edit now. He'll take it and then he'll start editing. And when he's done editing and sends it back to me, he places it in the completed column. Then I'll go in and I'll actually publish it myself. And then when it's published, we'll put it into the published column. So this is how I've set it up. Now, if you're like, okay, well, I don't have an editor myself, that's fine, but you don't have to have this, or you can keep it so that when you are ready to hire, you're ready to rock. Okay. So that is how I've set this up. And as we come down here, it's the same thing with the podcast. I've got a podcast editor, so he'll take it from when it's done recording to editing to completed to publish. He goes ahead and publishes the episodes for me. And that is how we set up so everything is crystal clear and we know what's going on. So right now, this is actually in the wrong spot. So this actually needs to be in shooting because I'm currently shooting this video. And then when I stop recording, I'll put it into done shooting. And then when I put it over to done shooting, Dalton will actually get notified that it is time to start editing and he'll get to work on it. So this is how I set up the YouTube and podcast. So I know what is going on. And so my team knows what's going on, or anybody that is helping me with this content knows what's happening and what stage it's in. Okay. Then we'll come down to content calendar. And this is where the content is getting published, what date it's getting published, and what the goal of this published date is going to be. For example, the productivity workflow, we are recording this on a Wednesday. My goal was to get it out on Friday. It's probably going to come out on Saturday. So we're going to put this over here, but all the content that has been pushed out before this date, the 20th, all of this, my podcast, for example, on this topic was published on Monday. This Why Creators Stop Creating, the last video last week, that was published on Wednesday. So everything before the actual day, I know that these were published on these specific days. Everything later on, this is the goal. This is when we want them to be published, but it can change. Things can happen. Maybe editing takes longer than we anticipated, whatever it is. But that's kind of how I like to do it, just so I can at least have a target. All right. So that is what this content calendar is for here. So with YouTube and the podcast, there are a ton of different steps, as you can see here. With Instagram, as we come down here, Instagram for me is more based off of inspiration. I try to post about 3 times a week. That's always the goal, but I always like to publish an Instagram post purely based off inspiration because I feel like the content is always going to be better. And what I do here is I've got kind of like what I want my Instagram to be about. So every 2 days, more or less, it's going to either be a portrait, there's going to be some sort of design, architecture type of stuff. There could be a quote, could be a YouTube clip from like little highlights that we get from the YouTube videos. And then I like collecting famous people interviews because they're super motivating. So that's kind of the theme of the Instagram. And then any post that I really like, the caption that I write, I think is really good, I'll keep it and I'll hold on to it and I can repurpose it later for an email that goes out as a newsletter to my email list. Maybe it's something that I want to turn into a YouTube video, I always like to collect Instagram captions and posts that I feel like is really good that I want to hold on to later. So that is Instagram here. And this is, just to give you an example, why creators stop creating. This was my caption here. And that's pretty much it when it comes to Instagram. And then the same thing when it comes to value emails down here. Every week I send a value email or a newsletter to my email list, and I like to collect them because then I can repurpose them into a podcast episode, a YouTube video, an Instagram post, whatever it is that I want to do. Now, an important step is to have an idea of what the content is actually going to be. So what I did here is I went into YouTube and I created a template. It's called New Video. And if we click New Video here, this is my template that I have created. So if we open this up as a page here, I'll put the title of the video. I can assign people from my team to help me with this specific task or video, whoever it is. And then I've got just kind of like a little outline, inspo, and a place to put a shot list and a script. And that is how I set up every single video. So this is all just inspo. These are videos that I like, that I like to take my inspiration from, whether it's the mood, the vibe, whether it's just a thumbnail, whatever it is, that is this section here. This is kind of a basic outline of what these videos, YouTube videos, are kind of going to look like. We got the shot list of what shot it is, camera style, location, and then the script here. And then just to show you a finished version of it, let's go in here. Here, it basically is just a kind of a finished version of it. I didn't have to use a shot list because a lot of it was just B-roll that I already had. But then we have the script here, and we have kind of just some other little bit of notes, music, thumbnail, my reasons for why creators stop creating, and then just kind of a cool little idea, throwing a one-liner in with some B-roll and then going into the beginning of the video. So this is the outline that I use for my YouTube videos here. Then I have another outline that I use, or a template, for my podcast, and it's a lot more basic because I simply just need a bullet point list. So if we come over here and we click new podcast, I'm actually going to click edit so it doesn't create a new podcast, but it's simply just called new podcast outline. And then I can come in here and I can start making bullet points for what I'm going to be talking about for the podcast. And that's pretty much it. So here's the title and here's my outline for that podcast. The last thing I want to show you when it comes to creating content is to set up your week in a way that is going to always keep you ahead. So very, very simply, if we come over to my calendar here, you can see that I've got some days that I have scheduled here. So as you can see, on Monday and Tuesday, I've set up where my main focus is my content. That is my main focus. And the reason why I do that is because your content is a completely different mindset than you trying to go and get clients, or you trying to develop a digital product and sell it. And because of that, it requires a different day or a different part of the day. You don't have to dedicate a whole entire day to content, but you could split it up between maybe the morning you have content, and then the afternoon / evening you have business, back end, networking type stuff, whatever it is that you're working on. Now, you don't have to make it perfect. For example, Scale Biz. Today is Wednesday and I'm creating this video. Sometimes it leaks over. It's not perfect. Things come up during the day, but the key here is you have a target. You have some type of path that you can clearly see where you have a direction to go in. And if you don't have a direction, you're going to feel lost. You're going to feel overwhelmed. And that is when all of that negative energy, that reaction mode, all that BS comes into play here. So be easy on yourself, especially when you get started, because this is going to change. You might see this and it might not work for you. Everyone is different. Everyone has a different schedule. And more importantly, everyone is in a different chapter in life. So look at this, take it with a grain of salt, but I wanted to show you this is kind of how I set up my days. So that's how I set up my week. And on top of that, because I set up my week early Monday, Tuesday, those days when I can and if I can, I try to batch content, whether it's creating multiple Instagram posts, creating multiple podcast episodes. If I can record multiple YouTube videos, which is a lot harder, but if it's just speaking like this right now and I already have the outline written, I'll record back-to-back videos if I can, whatever it is to get ahead. Anyways, I hope this really gives you something to think about. I hope it doesn't overwhelm you too much. Start slowly. Use my setup here as a guide and start small. You don't have to have all of these steps here, but start small, recreate your own kind of system. And I'm telling you, the more you do this week after week, you're going to start seeing that freedom come back. You're going to start planning ahead. You're going to start getting ahead of your content and getting out of reaction mode. So, hope this helped. If it did, hit the thumbs up button. It really helps the channel, gets more videos out there to other people. And that's what this channel is all about, helping creatives make more revenue, do this full time, and design the lifestyle they truly love. And if this is something that you want to learn more on, and if you want to work with me personally, I highly recommend signing up for the Creators Blueprint, my coaching and mentorship program. It's closed right now, but if you get on the waiting list at thecreatorsblueprint.com, you'll get on the waiting list. You'll reserve your spot for the next time we open the program if you would like to work with me in the future. And that's it. Hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll catch you next week. Thanks for watching. Peace.